Hey guys, welcome back to another Helix video. I know, man, it's been a long time since I've done one of these because basically I've been busy out playing with the Helix. Had a lot of gigs and rehearsals and stuff keeping me busy. Not as much time to do these videos, but at the end of the day, you know, that's what it's about, right? Going out and making music and having fun. So no regrets there. But Line 6 just released the new firmware 2.3. It's a big update. 7 new amps, 7 new effects. Also, a really big overhaul of the edit application. And one of the cool things is now the experience of Helix Native and then the edit for the Helix Floor LT, all the hardware rack, you know, the hardware versions. It's now very much a very similar experience across the board. The interface is pretty much the same now, which is pretty cool. So one of the huge things that they added was this create backup and restore from backup. For any of you, you know, long-time Helix users out there, you know, you'll immediately get how awesome that is, because when a new firmware update came out, you had to back up your presets. You had to some degree, back up your IRs. You really couldn't back them up per se. You had to have them organized. So when you did the update, you had to restore your presets, bring your IRs back. You had to make sure they were in the same slots, and then you had to redo your global settings, and on and on and on. So this is a big, you know, a big time saver. And there's a couple other cool things. You know, snapshot is now in the edit menu. You can jump around quickly, and so it's pretty cool that they've added a bit more functionality, or I should say, well, functionality, but also made what is already there more accessible and more easily accessible. So hats off to Line 6 for that. Really great stuff. Again, 7 amps, 7 effects. Instead of trying, I haven't had time to go through everything yet, period. But instead of trying to tackle everything and like give examples of what all is new in this video, I'm just going to just do probably a series of quick videos to show just some of the new stuff for anybody out there who you know, is looking at Helix, hasn't gotten it yet, or hasn't done the update yet, and just wants to hear what the new stuff sounds like. That's kind of, you know, just I'm going to try to walk through some of this stuff. So immediately when I got the update, one of the things that caught my eye was the Trainwreck amp model. You know, I really have a soft spot for boutique amplifiers, and not surprisingly, as a musician, I've seldom been able to afford to actually own them. So I'm always excited to see amps that, you know, I've only ever read about in guitar magazines or seen, you know, seen in YouTube videos be somewhat accessible to me digitally or virtually. So started with this one, the Trainwreck, and just a real simple. I'm going to just kind of mess around with the amp controls and give some examples. Cab wise, I'm using matchless 2x12 and a greenback 4x12, a 57 dynamic mic on each. A little bit of low cut and high cut in each one. So you know, I'm still, you know, this update's brand new, so I don't know if I've got the very best cab models or that, you know, are going to pair with this amp, but, you know, this is just kind of the first thing I put together and kind of like the sound of. So I'm going to go with that for now. A little bit of reverb on the end just to give it some air, but that's about it. So what I'm going to do, I am playing a Variax. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate some Strat sounds, some Les Paul sounds. I think on the lower gain settings, this amp does great with single coils, but I think overdriven, I just think is really well suited for humbucker style guitars, and it kind of has that amp getting ready to explode, you know, or fly apart in a good way kind of tone once you start cranking the drive. So anyway, enough talk. I'm going to start out here with the Strat in the neck position. The gain's down to 1. Master's on just over 8. Tone controls are pretty down the middle, a little more bass, a little less mids, but for the most part you can see everything's pretty much down the middle. So you're getting a kind of just the basic amp sound, but this is the low gain side of this amp, and you can kind of get some kind of funky clean sound. So anyway, here we go. So it's very percussive. It's got a really cool response. So even though this really isn't a quote unquote clean amp, it can kind of do that pretty well. So there's that side to it. So let's get into some gain here. I'm going to pull this up to about halfway. I'm going to start with a Strat bridge, but quickly I'm going to switch over to a Les Paul humbucker type sound because I think it's more suited for that. But anyway, so here's the Strat sound with gain up to about 5. So, I mean, a great tone as it is, but I'm going to flip over to a humbucker sound now. Here's a Les Paul in the bridge position. So to me, that's a really great kind of a mid-gain Marshall-y kind of sound. Having obviously never played through a real Trainwreck, I don't know what exactly to compare it to, what it's built like, but to me that kind of sounds like a driven Marshall. I do find the more I crank the gain, I end up wanting a little more top end, so I'm going to boost the presence up a little bit. Let you hear that. So to me, that's just a great rhythm sound. I mean, a good lead sound as well. I think this amp model has really good sustain to it too. The notes really sing well. You know? So that's a really cool tone. So let's see what it sounds like when we just go full out and get the gain all the way up. So I kind of feel like that scene in Spinal Tap where I'm like, just listen to it sustain. Just listen. You know, but this amp does, man. It just really sings well. I'm going to flip over to neck pickup position on a Les Paul, which is really cool for some kind of thicker woman tone, you know, kind of tones. So it just sings for days. I love that about this amp model. You know, this audio is being recorded directly over USB. I'm not sitting in front of a speaker cabinet, you know, getting kind of coaxing that sustain and I mean, it's not feeding back, but I mean, this is just all straight in. So really, really cool. Let's see. Let me go ahead and let's see. I'm going to crank the master all the way up. Give it a little more top end. Just see what we get here. this is fun. This is just such a fun amp model. It just sounds like the amp is just ready to just explode in the best possible way. So man, thank you, Line 6. This is a fun one. So you know, try this one out. I'll share this patch, but I mean, as you can see, it's just the amp, cab, and reverb. So it's probably just as fast to set your own up as load mine, but play around with it. I mean, you can see there's a lot of range, you know, with the gain controls and the EQ controls, and you know, you can definitely go, you know, flipping back over to a Stratocaster, you can definitely kind of go more the bluesy side. I do like backing the high end down once I start getting into cleaner Stratty territory, but maybe a little bit more actually. Let's see, get a little more gain. So it's got that great, you know, aggressive Stratty sound. I will say probably if I was going to use this amp model for that, like a little bit lower gain Strat sound, I haven't tried this, but I think what might work well is maybe switching to like a ribbon microphone to take a little bit, just a little bit of high end off, a little bit of edge. Let's see what this sounds like. Let's put a little bit of top back into the EQ. I actually think I like leaving it. I usually prefer like the ribbon microphones, but I think I actually like the stick with the dynamic mic, the classic 57 on this one. So yeah, anyway, I could noodle around with this for an hour, but actually I did before the video started. Anyway, so this is just the first video. I wanted to do one just to get one up, starting with a new amp. I'll take a look at the other amp models and the effects. I've got to take some time to actually try them out. Man, great update. Thank you, Line 6. Really excited about, you know, even if all they did was launch this updated edit application, that would have been just great. But the fact, you know, they've added the new backup and restore, all the new amp models, effects, and the new edit, just great update. Always nice to have a little early Christmas present here right before Thanksgiving. But anyway, so hopefully more videos to come. I'll try my best to make time to do some more of these. But if you're a Helix owner, go out and get the update, man. It is definitely worth it. So we'll catch you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks.